Hello everyone and welcome to Where is Xur, the show where we find Xur and we look at his inventory together. Today you can find Xur down here in the EDZ, that's the European Dead Zone. He's over here in the Winding Cove where he usually hangs out, next to a cave. Let's go and pay him a visit. Alright, once you touch down on the EDZ in the Winding Cove, go ahead and take a right and you'll find Xur where he's always at. You know, on that cliff's edge, past the cave. And here we go. Here's our boy Xur. Let's see what he's got in store. Alright, so first up he's got Trinity Ghoul. If you don't have this bow, it's pretty good for PvE. Shoots arrows that create bolts of lightning that shock everyone, which is pretty cool. Then we've got the Gwisin Vest. I don't know how to pronounce that word. This is a decent exotic with a not amazing roll. 64 is pretty low for an exotic. So also the distribution isn't super exciting. There's not a whole lot of spikiness, and mobility is probably higher than you want for a warlock, or sorry, a hunter. Actually, I guess that's not necessarily true, but yeah, just in general, not the most exciting roll we've seen. Then we've got One-Eyed Mask. This is the highest roll we got for exotic armor this week. Unfortunately, it's got extremely high mobility on Titan, which kind of ruins the entire roll for me. And then you'll notice that pretty much everywhere else except for strength is extremely low, including resilience. So this doesn't really work with the meta. It is a great exotic, though. One of the best Titan exotics for PvP. So unfortunately, not a great roll. And then finally, we've got Apotheosis Veil. Apotheosis Veil is a good exotic with a not great roll. 65, again, is kind of low for an exotic stat distribution. However, it's got high intellect, high recovery. Maybe this will work in some sort of bizarre build you're working on. However, you know, it's not amazing. So just in general, exotic armor this week is wanting, in my humble opinion. Let's move on to Hawkmoon and Dead Man's Tale. Hawkmoon has got Alloy Magazine, Combat Grip, Hammer-Forged Rifling. We've seen those a lot, but this week it's got Eye of the Storm. Eye of the Storm is not my favorite perk for Hawkmoon. It is pretty situational and requires you to be low on health before it triggers. There are much better perks for Hawkmoon. I am a big fan of Opening Shot. We've seen better rolls, so probably don't want to buy this Hawkmoon unless you just need one. And then we've got Dead Man's Tale. This one's got Moving Target, which is nice. It's also got Steady Rounds and Hammer-Forged Rifling. But we've definitely seen better rolls on this, and it is importantly missing my favorite perk, Vorpal Weapon. So this is okay. It's not really anything to get excited about. So again, exotics this week, kind of failing us a little bit. With that, let's move on to legendary weapons. Hopefully we'll have more luck. First, we've got Prophecy with Overflow and Explosive Payload. Explosive Payload, hard to get mad at that perk. However, Overflow is not particularly great, especially for hand cannons, where picking up special and heavy ammo automatically loads this weapon beyond normal capacity. Okay, that's great. You can load the weapon while it's gone, but it's a primary weapon. I don't know. Reload speed is the masterwork. Not a lot of synergy here is my problem. So this one's okay. I don't know. Maybe you could find a way to make this work. I'm trying to wrap my brain around how this might be useful, and I just can't do it, which probably means it's not a great roll. Cool. We got Cold Denial. This is probably my pick of the week. It's got Swashbuckler, which is actually the worst perk on this bunch, but let me tell you why I like it. It's got extremely high range. It's got Zen Moment, which is great on a pulse rifle. Armor-piercing rounds. And then it's got a range masterwork. So if you level up this range masterwork, it's going to be extremely high range. It's got Zen Moment, which is great on pulse rifles if you don't know. And then Swashbuckler kind of ruins it for me because it relies on melee kills to get increased damage, which unless you have a very specific situation wherein you're meleeing small things and then shooting at some bigger things, you're not likely to get a whole lot of usage out of that. Doesn't really synergize super well with pulse rifles. unless you're doing something weird that I can't even comprehend. So let's move on to Tears of Contrition. Tears of Contrition. It's got vorpal rounds, which is nice. Extrovert, which, these origin traits kind of are stupid, but it's extra, so who cares? Scout rifles are getting a buff, so it might be worth starting to look at some of these scout rifles more seriously. Unfortunately, this one's got well-rounded, which I just don't really understand that perk. And handling, which is probably not the masterwork I would have chosen for scouts. So, I'm happy that scouts are maybe going to be viable in the future, but this set of perks is kind of all over the place. Not a lot of synergy, and I don't know. I can't really find a way to get excited about that one. Ignition Code. This one has spike grenades, which is great. Unfortunately, the other perks I hate, which is hitting 3 separate targets increases damage for moderate duration. Okay, that could be good, but you got to kill 3 things, and then you probably are only going to get increased damage for one other shot before it runs out. And then surplus, increased handling, reload speed, and stability for each fully charged ability. I just hate this perk because it only works if you're not using your abilities, and hopefully you're always using your abilities. I will say, though, it does have a reload speed masterwork, which is pretty nice. Maybe combined with One for All, you could get 2 shots in there. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's not... Again, this is nothing wrong with this weapon. It's just kind of hard for me to get excited about some of the lack of synergy here. And surplus is bad. I can't advocate on behalf of this perk. All right, let's move on to 7th Seraph, Close Quarters Combat. Like this weapon, snapshot sights may be useful in PvP. I wouldn't pick it. Autoloading holster, definitely not useful in PvP. Maybe useful in PvE. And then autoloading holster and reload speed have the least synergy I've ever seen. So, yeah, man, again, just some not bad perks, but just none of them really work together. It's kind of an odd week for Xur. Then we've got Corsair's Wrath. Again, this one is kind of cracks me up. It's got Outlaw and Kill Clip, which are both great, but it's on a linear fusion rifle. So precision kills greatly decrease reload speed. Reloading after kills grants increased damage, so you could kind of see a little bit of synergy there. But it's linear fusion rifle, where you're either using it to burn down a boss, so you're probably not getting kills to reload or to decrease reload speed. And then even if you are, grants increased damage. I can't. I have a hard time with this one. Again, these are great perks. Any other weapon, I'd be excited, but I can't really find the use case here. It's perplexing. And then finally, we've got Quick Fang for the Hunter here. But if you're playing on the Titan, it'll be Eternity's Edge, and on the Warlock, it'll be something else that I can't remember. But yeah, these are class swords, if you're not aware. And, they are what they are. They're mostly cool. They've got nice flavor to each of them. So if you don't have the class sword on one of your alts or character you don't play as much, I recommend picking it up. And then finally, we're going to move on to armor. Armor this week is interesting because it's terrible on the Warlocks and Titan. Like, seriously, if you have any people that you do not like that play Destiny, you should tell them to buy the armor this week. Try to convince them to wear it. And then maybe go into PvP or a raid or something, because it's pretty bad. But we're looking at the Hunter because they're the only ones who got a semi-okay kind of role. So we're going to talk about that. But pretty much every other class, Titans and Warlocks, you're looking at a lot of stuff like this, right? Like 58s, low 60s, and not a lot of spikiness really to be had. This one's got high discipline, but come on, it's 58 overall stats. It's just nothing to get excited about. Boots, 62 with really high resilience. Maybe you could use these, maybe. But, it's 62. It's so low. It's hard to get excited about. The helmet has 64. So this is the best piece of legendary armor we got this week on any of the classes. But it's got nothing really spiky. Pretty low resilience. Hard to get excited about that. So, I don't know, man. Xur really let me down this weekend. I will say this, though. Sovereign armor looks dope. It's the New Monarchy armor, which was my favorite faction back when factions were a thing. So maybe grab that. Also, maybe if you're missing the New Monarchy shader. I think you can get the shader by dismantling this stuff, so which I think is one of the best shaders in the game, the New Monarchy Diamond, and I forget what the other New Monarchy shader's called, but they're pretty cool. But yeah, man, pretty weak weekend for Xur. Not happy with this guy. But yeah, if you have enemies, tell them to buy this armor. That'll show them.
Hey, you, clear out.
All right, everyone, that's Xur this week. Hopefully this video was useful to some of you guys, and we'll be back next week with more Xur. Also, we've got a Root of Nightmares raid guide going live soon for Destiny players who have not tackled the raid yet. That should be live, I think, later today, if not on Monday. And for everything else related to Destiny and Xur, stick with IGN.